All right, let's dive into one of the most concentrated, perfect, and just powerful works in all of music, Henry Purcell's opera Dido and Aeneas. And here's the thing about it. This opera, by all rights, shouldn't even exist.
And that, right there, is the central puzzle. We're talking about 17th century England, a country that had a serious problem with opera. So how on earth did it produce a work that so many people consider to be one of the finest ever written? That's the mystery we're going to unpack today.
So first things first, you gotta understand the cultural scene back then. While this new art form called opera was exploding across Italy and France, England was, well, let's just say it was skeptical. The country just wasn't buying it.
This really lays out the two warring camps, if you will. In one corner, you have England, the land of Shakespeare and Marlowe. The audiences there were incredibly sharp. They loved complex spoken plays. Then, in the other corner, you've got this foreign import, Italian opera, where every single word is sung. To the English, it just felt weird, maybe even a little ridiculous. Sure, it was fancy, but it was someone else's thing, and it just could not get a foothold.
So you see, this wasn't just about what people liked. The English were incredibly proud of their language, and they felt their spoken plays were the pinnacle of art. They were convinced that trying to force English words into that continuous, sung-through Italian style just didn't work. It was a massive artistic and cultural barrier.
So who could possibly solve a puzzle like that? Well, enter Henry Purcell. This was a man who seemed practically born for this exact challenge. If anyone had the unique set of skills to create a truly English opera, it was him.
And this timeline is just wow. Look at how jam-packed his short life was. Purcell died when he was only 36 years old, but in that time he managed to hold pretty much every major musical job in the entire country. He was at the absolute center of English music, soaking up every style and influence imaginable.
And all that experience gave him this incredible toolkit. He could write with the raw emotion of the Italians, the grand ceremonial flair of the French, and he knew English music inside and out. But his real superpower? He had this unbelievable gift for setting English words to music in a way that felt completely natural, yet intensely expressive.
Okay, so let's get to the masterpiece itself and see how he pulled it all together. Dido and Aeneas was Purcell's brilliant and, honestly, totally unlikely solution to England's big opera problem.
And the first thing that'll just blow your mind about it, it's how short it is. This entire devastating tragedy unfolds in just 60 minutes. It's a lightning bolt of emotional power, with not a single wasted note. And get this, England's greatest opera didn't have its grand premiere at the royal court or in some fancy public theater. Nope. It was first performed at a girls' boarding school. I mean, for a masterpiece of this level to come from such humble beginnings, it's just staggering.
Now here's a really clever change they made to the story. You see, in the original epic by Virgil, Aeneas leaves Dido because the gods tell him to. It's his destiny, a noble sacrifice. But in the opera, a wicked sorceress and her coven of witches literally trick him into leaving. It's a brilliant move because it completely shifts the focus away from the grand destiny of Rome and puts it squarely on Dido's intense personal heartbreak.
And all that heartbreak leads to what might just be the most perfect, gut-wrenching piece of music about grief ever written, Dido's Lament. So let's break down how Purcell actually builds this incredible monument of sorrow.
The secret weapon here is a musical technique called a ground bass. Basically, it's a short little melody in the lowest instrument that just repeats over and over and over. You can think of it like a musical loop that represents something you just can't escape, like destiny or an all-consuming grief.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. Let's walk through it together. First, down in the bass, you hear this slow, painful, downward drifting pattern. It just repeats again and again, like this endless cycle of sorrow. But then, listen to what Dido's voice does on top of it. Her melody isn't trapped. It soars and it aches and it feels heartbreakingly free. And that's the genius, right there. That tension between her voice, struggling with so much feeling, and that heavy, repeating bass line that's pulling her down. It's the sound of a human spirit fighting a fate that has already won. This is her last request. Just remember me, who I was. But the awful way this ended? Forget it. It's a moment of incredible dignity, even as she faces total despair.
So why does this short, kind of strange little opera continue to be seen as a work of absolute perfection? Well, it all comes down to this idea of it being perfectly calibrated.
So what does that mean? Well, first, the scale is perfect. It's not trying to be some massive sprawling epic. It's an intimate story, and the music reflects that. Second, there's absolutely no fluff, not a single wasted note. Every single sound is there to push the drama forward. That gives you this complete emotional journey, from love to despair to death, all in under an hour. It's a masterpiece not because it's huge, but because it's so incredibly focused and precise.
But here's the final twist in the story. After Purcell died, this perfect little gem was almost completely forgotten. For nearly 200 years, it was basically a lost masterpiece, just collecting dust somewhere. It wasn't until 1895 that it was finally revived, which makes its place in our hearts today even more of a miracle.
So what's the takeaway here? It's that in just 1 hour, with very limited resources, and for a performance at a school, England's opera problem, Henry Purcell solved. He created a work so perfectly built, so emotionally direct, that it contains an entire lifetime of human experience. It really is England's operatic miracle.